Hey my coins, welcome back to our channel. I know a lot of you guys are getting real serious with some of your partners during quarantine, maybe even thinking about walking down the aisle. But here's the thing, before you put on that Harry Winston, make sure you check off these must-dos before you say I do and walk down the aisle and forget about your assets. Now I get it, this might be an unpopular opinion and it's also super controversial and it might make you really uncomfortable, but they say you have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to grow, and by grow I mean that bank account. And we all want to be billionaires. That's why you guys are subscribed to this channel, because you want to build generational wealth and not get robbed by Judge Judy when you take on the wrong partner. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Now I am completely aware that I am a single millennial, never been divorced, never been married, not saying I can't be in the future. So I am giving you my unsolicited advice on what you should do with your marriage. Now, if this conversation does not go well, then please do not come after me. This video is mainly for your entertainment. Okay, so coin tip number one, you want to just rip off the band-aid. So the worst thing that you can do is kind of like putter around what you're going to say. Now, I have experience doing this in corporate America when giving bad news. You never want to dance around the topic. Sit the person down and just say, hey, the reason why I want to talk to you is because I want to talk about having a prenup before we get married. Now, going into this a layer deeper, once you say the bad news, you want to say it twice. Now, the reason why you want to say it twice is because typically when someone receives bad news or something that's a little more intense, they kind of black out. So you want to say it 2 times because they probably didn't hear you the first time. So I'll go like, hey Chad, I want to talk to you about having a prenup before we get married. So just to say that again, I want to talk to you about getting a prenup in place before we get married. And then I would pause. Okay, coin tip number 2, after you told them what you're going to talk about, make sure you reassure with your partner that this was 100% your decision. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but if you watch Sex and the City, when Charlotte was getting married to that doctor guy, he told her that Bunny, aka his mom, was the one that wanted him to get the prenup. That everyone in their lineage had gotten the prenup, and so Charlotte kind of felt like it was weird. So let's say you're a Kardashian and you're getting married, Kris is usually the one telling them that they need to get a prenup. So it makes it seem that it's not your decision, that it's influenced by someone else. So you never want to make it seem like, oh, it was my lawyers that told me, or it was my boss, it was my family member. You want to take full responsibility that this is your choice, because not only is it going to create really bad energy between your partner and your family, or your partner and your company, you don't want them to resent anything outside of your life, out of them that you love. So just, yeah, make sure you reassure that this was 100% your decision. Okay, so moving into coin tip number 3, now that we got the bad news out of the way and we also are taking full accountability that this is something that we want, the next step that you want to do is also make sure that you're creating a vision that this is a life between both of you. So in my last video where I talked about essential money questions you and your partner need to talk about before marriage, what you will have seen or heard in that video was the theme of making it sure that it's about painting a life for both of you. So make sure you reassure in coin tip 3 that you really see a life with them. That way they don't think that this is you guys already planning your divorce before it even happens. Because that's a lot of what people think, is that when you're getting a prenup, you're basically planning for your exit. Okay, so coin tip number 4 that you need to do within this step is remind them that personal finance and planning for your future in terms of your finances is something that's important for you. So try to think about it like this. let's say like once upon a time, like you told your friend that you decided that you wanted to become vegan, and they're probably like, okay, like why do you want to be vegan all of a sudden? Like since when are you hippy dippy like California boho? And then you can remind them, be like, well, you know, like I have like a dog, and like I always really loved animals, and like I like to go to the animal shelter and like really like volunteer with like the dolphins when I was in San Diego. That way it's not like a total shock to them if you're making this big life decision. Now I know that's totally like way different than finance, but when you think about it, if you bring something out of the blue like, yo, let's get a prenup, but then you remind them, hey, I'm actually really invested on building wealth and generational wealth for us and for our kids and their grandchildren. Like think about how I find great saving tips for rent, or how I like save with my 401k, and how I'm building my stock portfolio to be $1 million so we can have dividend wealth. Then your partner's not gonna be like, oh, okay, like they're just planning to like dip out of this relationship. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, like I see that Bob or like Becky or Chad, whatever you want to call it really does care about their personal finance. So I'm also not surprised that they also are thinking about having a prenup. Okay, so the last tip, coin tip number 5, is you just make sure you want to explain why you're coming from where you're coming from. So you could also just say like, hey, I worked really hard like up into this point with my business or at that company where I got IPO, and I just want to make sure that I'm protecting my assets moving forward, and I also want you to also make sure you're protecting yours as well if anything does happen. So I mean, hopefully your partner's not like a total like opposite of you. I would say definitely like try to date within kind of like the same vibrational level. But yeah, you could be like, hey, I know you have worked for a lot of your things as well. I want you to feel confident that like when we do start growing our life together, that if anything happened, that you wouldn't have any regrets too. So those are my 5 coin tips and the bones to your script if you are going to have a deep dive conversation with your partner about having a prenup. I hope this was helpful, and to summarize, I'll just go over all the coin tips again. Make sure you ripped off the band-aid. Remind them that this is your choice entirely. 3, remind them that you really care about a vision together. 4, bring back what finance and money means to you. And 5, deliver why it's important to you most of all, and tie it with a bow. I think you guys are going to do amazing. If you want to role play the conversation, then definitely hit me up in my DMs on Instagram below. I'll put my handle right over here so you can private message me. You can also reach me on my website, which is right over here. It's joymay.co. I also have some other money tips and also a book club that you can join if you want to further your growth in terms of making money. And I am so excited to hear more about how it goes with you guys. I thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay wealthy, my coins. Bye.